Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, Punishment and Reward of Kali. We're on text number 2 today. Word for word. Vrisham, the bull. Mrinal Davalam, as white as a lotus, as white as a white lotus. Mehantam Iva Bibyatam Vepamanam Pra Ekena Siddhantam Shudrataditam Vrisham Mrinala Davalam Mehantam Eva Bibyatam Vepamanam Paraikena Siddhantam Shudrataditam Vrisham Mrinala Davalam Mehantam Eva Bibyatam Vepamanam Paraikena Siddhantam Shudrataditam Vrisham Mrinala Davalam Mehantam Eva Bibyatam Vepamanam Paraikena Siddhantam Shudrataditam. Was that 2 or 3 times? That was 3, I think, yeah. I see a mic that's over there, but not over here.
Vrisham Mrinala Davalam Mehantam Eva Bibyatam Vepamanam Padaikena Siddhantam
Shudrataditam. Would you want to chant, Maharaj? Now we can make a music. We can get there.
Vrisham Mrinala Davalam Mehantameva Bibyatam Vepamanang Padaikena Siddhantam Shudrataditam
Vrisham Mrinala Davalam Mehantam Eva Bibyatam Vepamanam Padaikena Siddhantam Shudrataditam
Mehantam Eva Bibyatam
Mehantam Eva Bibyatam
Vepamanam Padaikena
Vepamanam Paraikena
Siddhantam Shudrataditam
Siddhantam Shudrataditam.
Vishramrinala Dhavalam
Vishamrinala Davalam
Mehantam Eva Bibyatam
Mehantam Eva Bibyatam
Vipamanam Padaikena
Vepamanam Padaikena
Siddhantam Shudrataditam
Siddhantam Shujataditam
Vrishamrinala Davalam
Vishamrinala Davalam
Mehantam Eva Bibyatam
Mehantam Eva Bibyatam
Vipamana Padaikena
Vepamanam Padaikena
Siddhantam Shujataditam.
Siddhantam Shujataditam. Word for word. Or I mean, do we have someone online? Okay.
Vishramrinaladavam Mehantam Eva Bibyatam
Mehantam Eva Bibyatam
Vipamanam Padaikena
Avapaikena
Siddhantam Shudrataditam.
Siddhantam Shujataditam. Any other chanters? No hands are raised. Okay. Word for word. Vrisham, the bull. Mrinala Davalam, as white as a white lotus. Mehantam, urinating. Iva, as if. Bibyatam, being too afraid. Vepamanam, trembling. Pada ekena, standing on only one leg. Siddhantam, terrified. Shudrataditam, being beaten by a Shudra. Translation. The bull was as white as a white lotus flower. He was terrified of the Shudra who was beating him, and he was so afraid that he was standing on one leg, trembling and urinating. Purport. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The next symptom of the age of Kali is that principles of religion which are spotlessly white, like the white lotus flower, will be attacked by the uncultured Shudra population of the age. They may be descendants of Brahmana or Kshatriya forefathers, but in the age of Kali, for want of sufficient education and culture of Vedic wisdom, such a Shudra-like population will defy the principles of religion, and persons who are religiously endowed will all be terrified by such men. They will declare themselves as adherents of no religious principles, and many, quote, isms and cults will spring up in Kali Yuga only to kill the spotless bull of religion. The state will be declared to be secular or without any particular principle of religion. And as a result, there will be total indifference to the principles of religion. The citizens will be free to act as they like, without respect for sadhu, shastra, and guru. The bull standing on one leg indicates that the principles of religion are gradually diminishing. Even the fragmental existence of religious principles will be embarrassed by so many obstacles, as if in the trembling condition of falling down at any time. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshur Umlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. The bull was as white as a white lotus flower. He was terrified of the Shudra who was beating him, and he was so afraid that he was standing on one leg, trembling and urinating. So, this is an interesting verse and point that's being made here. It is actually happening in history, but actually it's also a great analogy, which what will be happening in today's age, that the Shudra will be diminishing the principles of religion, and the bulls personified religious principles. So we know, right, the four legs of religion are austerity, cleanliness, truthfulness, and mercy. So it is said that in Kali Yuga, the limb of truthfulness is still there to some degree. But we see that because of our the age of influence of the age of Kali, that even Prabhupada says here that even that one leg will be gradually diminishing and always, on the verge of falling down at any moment. So, yeah, we know it is very hard to find truth in today's society. It's hard to know who's telling the truth, right? We hear so many people professing that this is the truth, that is the truth. Our group has the truth, our family holds the truth, our race has the truth, my Bible is the truth, my religion is the truth, etc., my philosophy is the truth. So a symptom of the age of Kali is that there are so many misconceptions that people have, and they're attached sentimentally to it, to all their misconceptions they have. So we also may be attached to certain misconceptions that we have still. So we have to clear those misconceptions with Guru Sadhu Shastra by hearing sufficiently. Hearing sufficiently means we get some regular dosage of reading Srila Prabhupada's books, hearing the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam class every day. And thus we will actually hear nicely, at least sufficiently to be equipped. And we have to make some research work as well into certain subjects which are troubling us or giving us difficulties in understanding how it can be true. We have to research and reveal and relieve our doubts in that way. And then we will clear many misconceptions that we have about. So many people, they hear something, right, which may be relatively true, which they take as absolutely true. Like there's the truth that we're all one. Some people may take some drugs at a music festival, take some LSD, some mushrooms, some marijuana, whatever. And typically these people come to a realization that everything is energy, we're all one, we're all connected. That's all nice, that's true. But if you stop there, that's not complete. And many of those people do stop there and become attached to just that idea. So they have to become purified and free themselves from that misconception. So there's those kinds of people that go for that kind of truth. They experience some relative truth of the absolute truth, and they profess and they become sentimental towards this truth, and it's difficult for them to get out of it. And there's also scientists, right, today, philosophers that hold true to what they believe is truth. And so many people are saying this is true, that is true, this Big Bang is true, and even like advertisements, they're all basically telling you like, this is the one true solution to your problems. Buy this couch, buy this TV, get this iPhone, this is gonna make you happy, right? So they're saying that this is it, guys. And that's the whole thing of advertisement, is to get people to believe that I should believe in this product. I should actually feel like this is worthwhile to buy. spend my hard-earned money on. And they work like that. So there's so much knowledge being professed as truth, so it can be difficult to decipher what is actually true. So most people settle for, well, if it sounds good or if it feels good, then that is truth. Or if it's, if you're not hurting anybody, then okay, yeah, it's true for you. Some people may say that too. Some so-called spiritualists, they say that, that's true for you. Yeah, you're on your path, but we're all unique. Right, we've heard that before. Yeah, it's true for you, but no, it's not so true for me. But there is actually an objective truth, which is not just relative to one's position or one's circumstances, but it's actually objectively true in all circumstances. And that is the principles of Krishna consciousness, which are basically just the absolute truth. So there is an absolute truth. And it is revealed through the Vedas. And if you make a research study, then you'll see that at every angle, the Vedas are perfect. This knowledge is perfect. So somehow or other, we have to try to convince people that this is at least worthwhile considering as your truth. And really the only way that they'll really get it, it'll really click, is when they make advancement and they get that direct perception, like we were talking about last night, pratyaksha. So then it'll be self-evident, then they'll actually take it very seriously. So we help them get that experience through giving them books, giving them prasadam, giving them association, etc., engaging them in some sort of service to Krishna, and especially chanting. And then gradually or quickly, they'll be getting experience. That it's Krishna consciousness is absolute truth, not just some relative truth that's only good for a certain section of people. So, in this 8 Maharaj says, so another theme here, I don't know if there's actually a comment or if it's just being unmuted. So I'm just going to speak a little bit until someone starts speaking. The next theme here is that in the age of Kali, these people will be a Shudra-like population which will defy the principles of religion, and persons who are religiously endowed will be terrified by such things. It's kind of like that, right? When we come to Krishna consciousness and we give up the 4 pillars of sinful life, which are eating, intoxicating, gambling, illicit sex, which are all 4 of those correlate to one principle of religion. And we become frightened about modern society and the progression of it towards sinful life. Okay, is there some comment? Okay. If anybody has a comment, you can raise your hand in the Zoom and then we'll know, so we won't waste any time. Did you mute them? Okay. So, yes. So we become a little terrified, right? Like there's some fear. Like, man, if I go out there, I'm going to get swept away by this momentum towards sinful life. And it really does happen like that. So we have to be careful, discriminate who we associate with. And it's interesting because when we come to the point of having realization that Krishna consciousness is the absolute truth and we should endeavor towards its pure practice, we can't understand really why people are engaging in so much sinful activity. It doesn't make sense rationally because it's basically the root of their problems, but they're so addicted to it and so conditioned by it that they continue on engaging in sense gratification and sense enjoyment till the dying day of their life. But such a life is a simply waste of the human form. And whatever enjoyment they could have had, or whatever enjoyment they did have in the human form through those activities, sinful activities, they're going to get a body suitable in an animal life where they can enjoy that. But it's going to be an abominable existence. Animal life is not all fun and games. Of course, no life is really all fun and games, except for our spiritual life in the spiritual world. Because even the demigods, they have some enjoyment, yes, so much elaborate enjoyment, but there's always the fear of death, because ultimately they have to leave their position, and they know it's coming eventually. So it's healthy to have a fear of Maya, a fear of association with worldly-minded people. And naturally the devotee has that. So then we stay strong in the association of devotees. And let's say somebody is even, they are stuck in that way of life and that associating with those people, but they're also interested in, or at least they know philosophically, they're convinced that Krishna consciousness is the absolute truth, but they're conditioned by, material desires and fulfilling material desires and such, and they have that association. That's okay. Just associate with devotees, do the best you can. It's not like devotees are trying to make you feel bad that you're not practicing as strictly or whatever. But devotees are just happy that somebody is approaching Krishna and trying to make advancement in this life. So those that are in those positions, we should just encourage them to just keep coming around, keep associating like that. Just keep, being part of this family, because many times people become embarrassed that, I know where I should be, and these people are practicing at a pretty high level, so I'm not going to come around because I'm embarrassed, because they'll know. But if we have a very encouraging atmosphere, then I think people will be a little less embarrassed in that, But it'll happen. It's natural. But if we do our part to try to help people be merciful to the innocent, then that is one of the qualifications of a fixed-up devotee. Yes, there is some comment.
Hare Krishna, I'll read
Your hand raised, though.
a few verses and then Mars will speak.
We're discussing what is the truth, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discusses this point in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the verse is text 185 of the Madhya, chapter 17. And it says, Dharma stapana hetu sadur vyavahara puri gosanira e acharana se dharma sara. And the translation is,
A devotee's behavior establishes the true purpose of religious principles. The behavior of Madhavendra Puri Goswami is the essence of such religious principles.
so there was a discussion, and basically Lord Chaitanya was considering whether it was correct for him to take lunch in a particular person's home. And that doesn't mean Lord Chaitanya was just interested in what the public had to think, or that he wanted to impress. Sorry. But he wanted to establish what is the real essence of religious principles in the age of Kali. So he quotes a verse, very important verse from the Mahabharata. And I'm going to read that verse. Tarko pratishta shruteyo vibhina nasavrashir yasyamatam nabinam dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano yenagata sapanta.
Translation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, dry arguments are inconclusive. A great personality whose opinion does not differ from others is not considered a great sage. Simply by studying the Vedas, which are variegated, one cannot come to the right path by which religious principles are understood. The solid truth of religious principles is hidden in the heart of an unadulterated, self-realized person. Consequently, as the Sastras confirm, one should accept whatever progressive path the Mahajanas advocate.
And the verse, Tarko, the first point brought up is Tarka, meaning dry arguments. And apratishta, they're not fixed. So that was just because someone can present some dry arguments, it cannot stand. It cannot be considered the truth, because it's not true in all circumstances. Then the next point is Shruteo Vibhina. Shruteo means Vedas, and Vibhina means possessing different departments. So one person may say, this is the truth, this department of the Vedas, this Triveni and Dviveni and Chaturvedi. There's different persons who study different Vedas, and they become expert in one particular type of the Vedas, and then they take that as being something that's true and you can hold on to. But Mahabharata says no, it's still not. Then the next one is Rishis. Rishi means great sages. One person's opinion, he may defeat others by his argument, and another person may defeat his opinion by giving his own arguments. But that doesn't establish the religious principles either. So the conclusion that Mahabharata comes to is dharmasya, religious principles, tattva, truth, nihitam guhayam, they are to be found in the heart of a realized person. And then the next word is describing that, but mahajana, self-realized person. Because he will know how to take all the Vedas. He will know how to consider all philosophies. He will know how to figure time, place, and circumstance, and what is to be established in that circumstance. And this is, Lord Chaitanya considered, this is the perfection of truth in the age of Kali. It depends on the Mahajanas. Now in Vedic culture there are 12 Mahajanas primarily. Some of them are Ayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Lord Brahma, and Narad Muni, and Lord Shiva. Mayamu Narada Shampu Maya. The four Kumaras, Prahlada, Janaka, Bhishma, etc. This whole list. Shukadeva Goswami is also listed as one. These 12 are considered to be the great, and Bhishma was one of them. These are considered to be the experts on religious or truth by the Vedas. So if someone is falling in that line of these personalities, he may be considered to be on the path of unadulterated truth. And in this particular case, Lord Chaitanya was trying to decide whether it was correct for someone to take lunch at this particular person's house. Although he was not from a high birthright, his family was not very educated. But because Lord Chaitanya discovered that this person his food was accepted by Madhavendra Puri when Madhavendra Puri went there earlier. The Lord Chaitanya said, no, that's it. That's the highest principle. If a Mahajan, like Madhavendra Puri, accepted the lunch of this person, then that means it's accepted by all the scripture. It's the highest principle. Because he's so self-realized, he will only act in a way that's perfectly in line with God's desire and scriptures and practical common sense, public interest. All those things will be included in the realizations of the Mahajan. So, this is mine. There's another place in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also that says, in Kali Yuga, the only real way to understand what is correct is a pure devotee. And so therefore we have someone like Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is defined as a Mahajan, as a great soul, in all aspects. So his understanding, his explanation of the Shastras, what is true, will have to stand really because no one will be able to defeat it on the basis of any of those points. And we saw this also earlier in the case where Draupadi was faced with a great situation. Her 5 sons were killed while they were sleeping. It was a horrible act. And the culprit had been apprehended and was now being brought to her for the final punishment. And normally, a person like this, then their punishment, but she had to consider everything. And she did. Being a great devotee of the Lord, she considered all aspects. And yes, it was a crime. He did. And he's injured me, my family, and he deserves, he didn't behave like a Brahmin, etc., etc. But still she said no. She should not be killed. And so they decided to follow her, and Krishna agreed with her point of view. Yes, what she said is correct. He should not be killed, even though he's performed a heinous act because of other circumstances. So this is the beauty of a pure devotee. Is the pure devotee will be the final word in knowing what is correct, how to act, how to institute religion in the age of Kali, how to institute justice, how to every factor, how to live one's life. Therefore, nothing take the place of Shiva Mahajan, goes before. And that means they get that position by being fully surrendered to Lord Krishna. And also, chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, definitely recommended by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being Mahajan, waving colored, golden way, chanting the holy name of Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Are there any comments or questions? Yes, Mridanga Prabhu? Do we have a mic? Or we have people online they have to hear?
So thank you for your class, Prabhu. I just wanted to have a question about one of the Mahajans, Janaka Maharaj. Is he from the Ramayana? Leela, do you know remember any background information of his any of his pastimes? Or
I don't remember.
okay, thank you.
Yes, Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Can I share some reflections? So this is actually also from last night, this topic of Guru and how it's passed down. I was reminded of the verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Tad vidi pranipatene patena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te gyanam yaninastat vadarshinaha. So if we just try to learn the truth from a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him, through him we can receive the truth because he has seen it. And I was just reminded of this, so I had more I wanted to share. I like that you spoke about like how everyone has their own truth, they're all seeking something. And sorry, I know you spoke about this last night, not this class, but you were talking about how you were seeking through Christ and how you found some realization, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't like you got to a certain point where you're like, okay, I can't find a living example or someone to guide me. And then you ended up here in the Krishna consciousness movement. So it just seems that a lot of Christians or a lot of people that I meet that seek through other paths, they come to a point where they just end up here with us, where they're like, oh, this is the highest truth. This has everything. And like you were saying, like the Vedas, if you try to examine like every corner, every part of it, you can see it's perfect. And yeah, I have other things that I could share later, but I just wanted to reflect on a few things.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it can be hard to believe, like, it's perfect. So we're very doubtful about people that say that this is perfect or this is the absolute truth, because we've been cheated so many times already. Most of us have before coming to Krishna consciousness. But yeah, it really is the absolute truth. Okay, thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.